I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's February 14th, 2020. America. This here is on Zero Hedge. It's coming. CDC Director warns coronavirus to become widespread throughout the United States, probably beyond 2020. And I've had comments suggesting that the Deagle forecast had something to do with this, but or is a reflected in this virus. But if you read the bottom of the forecast, it specifically says that they did not include pandemics or a world war in their forecast. So, and this is not accounted for there. Did I even do the headline? Yes, I did. Okay. The extremely virulent coronavirus, which is sweeping through China's Hubei province like wildfire, will eventually gain a foothold in the United States, becoming a community virus this year or next, according to CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield. In quotes, "We don't know a lot about this virus," Redfield told CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta. You know, the more this is covered, the more I think it stinks to high hell. I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission. In quotes again, "Right now we're in an aggressive containment mode," said Redfield. Well, it was a little bit too late, don't you think? Probably it spreaded all of December, half of January, before anyone bothered to give a shit. As of Thursday, 15 cases have been confirmed in 7 states, 8 in California, 2 in Illinois, 1 in Arizona, Washington, Massachusetts, Wisconsin, and Texas. I could have swore there was one in New York. A community virus. Redfield says that while more research is needed, the CDC is focused on containment strategies to isolate and slow the progression, buying time to develop a vaccine and antiviral drugs. Look, are you going to trust a vaccine that was hastily thrown together? You have to remember that these vaccine companies are immune to prosecution, to lawsuits. They get a free pass when people are killed by their products. So are you seriously going to consider running and getting a vaccine from these people? Remember, the CDC is basically a vaccine company. Basically, their job is to push these things And they have patents on many, many different things. So, are you going to trust them when the time comes? I wouldn't. The containment phase is really to give us more time. This virus will become a community virus at some point in time this year or next year. Now, I beg to differ. I don't think it's going to become. It already is. It goes on to say, we don't have any evidence that this virus is really embedded in the community at this time. Well, that's probably because they're not looking for it. People have this idea that they're safe from these things if they're on our soil for some reason, and we're not any more safe than anybody else. Once the medical institutions become well, they really are already over populated. They have too many people in the ERs. Have you ever been to an ER and been seen right away? I haven't. Usually it takes a minimum of 5 hours at the ER here. A minimum. Now, think about these same ERs overwhelmed by dumbasses who stumble in there coughing and hacking, spraying their fucking saliva and snot everywhere. Well, I'm sorry, but once this starts happening on a larger scale, there's not going to be any containing this virus. But he says we don't have any evidence that this coronavirus is really embedded in the community. Maybe not widely embedded, not yet, but it's already embedded. Again, these things, or these people, have been moving back and forth from China to the United States since December 1st, or before then, right? They've been coming back and forth, and God only knows how long it's been that it was actually released. Right? These people traveling back and forth, some of them multiple times. You begin to see that if this virus is real, if it is real, then certainly by now, because of all the air travel, people going to China for the Chinese New Year from here, some of the restaurant owners, the Chinese restaurant owners, they might have wanted to go back home to visit for their nation's holiday. How many of them came back infected? I'm just saying. If it's real, if it's a real virus, then it's already embedded in some of our communities, and it's becoming more and more embedded each and every day. That's the only logical conclusion one can come to. Then you got on top of that all the packages that were coming into the country from China from sick people. this is what you should expect from your government. They're not going to tell you the truth about how embedded, how widespread this virus really is. You have to take it upon yourself to assume that it's already in your community. All right. Me ranting and raving. The containment strategy refers to efforts to prevent widespread transmission of the coronavirus in the United States, including having people with confirmed cases stay in isolation and placing restrictions on travel between affected areas in the world. Such containment measures were used widely during the SARS global outbreak of 2003, during which 8,098 people worldwide became sick, and of those, 774 died, according to the CDC. Now, the World Health Organization didn't want anyone to put travel restrictions in place. I wonder why that is. And then we go over here to another one from Tyler Durden. Wuhan lockdown intensify while first coronavirus case reported in unprepared Africa. That's right. As I said, it would be an impossibility that it wasn't already in Africa a couple of days ago, simply because China has a major footprint there in Africa. They have a lot of travel, again, going back and forth from China to Africa. How many of those people went back home for their nation's holiday just to carry that disease back to Africa? Okay, first case reported in Africa after the Egyptian Health Ministry confirms non-Egyptian patient who recently traveled to China. I wonder why it's important that they say non-Egyptian patient. China says 1,716 medical workers have been infected. The WHO demands to know more about sick doctors, insists group of 12 virus experts will reach Beijing over the weekend. Singapore reports largest daily jump in cases amid increased human-to-human transmission. Egypt confirms first case, as I just said. I wondered why they included this again, but virus is now present in 29 countries or territories. Hong Kong reports 3 new cases. New quarantine measures take effect in Wuhan. President Xi touts new biosecurity law. I wonder how similar our biosecurity laws are to this Chinese one. I wonder. Hong Kong Disneyland offers space for quarantine. Can you imagine them missing something at Disneyland there? And, I mean, humans are lazy, right? Somebody is going to miss something, and somebody is going to start a whole new cycle of spread. Chinese company says blood plasma of recovered patients useful in combating virus. U.S. is mulling new travel restrictions. Japan reports 4 new cases. 1 patient recently returned from Hawaii. CDC director, virus is coming to the United States. All right, I'm gonna hit these little bit bold prints and maybe a paragraph or two. The Egyptian Health Ministry has announced the first coronavirus case in Egypt, the first confirmed patient on the African continent, according to the Financial Times. According to the ministry, the case was discovered through its electronic registration program to track people who have visited countries with reported infections. The person in question is not Egyptian and is asymptomatic, but tested positive for the virus. They have been placed in isolation in a local hospital, according to the ministry. You know, wouldn't it be strange if they became permanent carriers? I wonder if that's even possible. As reported earlier in the week, Africa, which has seen an influx of Chinese nationals in recent years, is woefully unprepared for the coronavirus. In quotes, we're definitely not prepared. If we had a couple of cases, it would spread very quickly. We're doing the best we can with the resources we have, which is nothing. Right? Virtually nothing. So, it's in India and Africa. India and Africa. Indonesia claims to not have any, but I find that very difficult to believe. And, hey, it might be fake, though, right? All these people are crisis actors, maybe. You know, the people being dragged off to the wait here and die camps. Certainly, they're all crisis actors. But again, remember, the CDC is in the business of, selling vaccines. So what can I say? It could be a whole thing could be one big psyop. We will not know until we know. Will not know until we know. There's some more shit going on here. Let me tell you. Will the coronavirus trigger recession? No, it's not going to trigger a recession because that was triggered a while back. But it's not going to help matters any, I wouldn't think. Where'd it go? Yes. Right here. Michael Bloomberg. All right. Bloomberg using fortune to fundamentally alter and manipulate U.S. politics. This is what I'm talking about, people. It is individuals like old Michael Bloomberg here that has corrupted and destroyed this system. And it's people like Michael Bloomberg who, preach to you all day long about being a criminal or your climate or not to have a gun or this, that, and the other, but this motherfucker does not practice what he preaches. This man is the epitome of evil billionaire. He, Bill Gates, Ted Turner, you name him, you name the billionaire, they've all in their positions because of whom they're related to and they knew. Not that they're smart or they were innovative, although Elon Musk is smart, you know. But and people just tolerate it. We continue to tolerate these people who have destroyed our country. That is the face of an enemy right there. And so is Donald Trump's face. So is Obama and the rest of them. They're all enemies. They're all your enemies. I find it to be very, very strange that people actually go and vote for enemies. I find it very strange that very few recognize the fact that these people are enemies. How about you? Or do you find it strange that I see it that way? Oh, Michael Bloomberg. All right. A smoking gun, question mark. Chinese scientist finds killer coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. This too is from Tyler Durden. The uncertainty and the debate over the origins of the coronavirus pandemic are growing with each passing day. 1 week after the White House asked scientists to finally investigate whether the virus was bioengineered, none other than CNBC jumped on the bandwagon, and echoing a similar question by Senator Tom Cotton, and of course, Zero Hedge said maybe the coronavirus was man-made, and they got fucking banned off of Twitter. All this is taking place as the mainstream media, whose purpose is similar to that of Beijing in minimizing public concerns and panic, even if it means fabricating reality, presses on with the popular theory that the virus emerged from the Hunan seafood market in Wuhan. Except it didn't. While branding anyone who suggests that the coronavirus might have originated as a bioweapon developed in a secretive Wuhan lab as deranged conspiracy theorists, a propaganda approach first popularized in the 1960s by the CIA to discredit controversial views. Indeed, just today, the Financial Times reported Trevor Bedford of the Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle rubbished stories circulating on social media that COVID-19 was created at Wuhan Institute of Virology or elsewhere in China. Bedford is, of course, entitled to his opinion, which was only reinforced by the lack of any dissenting views from the scientific community, especially in Ground Zero, China. That has now changed, however. With what may be a smoking gun report first noted by Harvard to the Big House from a scientist at the Pentagon, prestigious South China University of Technology, a print published by Bateo Zhao and Li Zhao titled The Possible Origins of 2019 NCOV Coronavirus, whose abstract is the following. The 2019 NCOV has caused an epidemic of 28,060 laboratory-confirmed infections in humans, including 564 deaths in China by February 6, 2020. Two descriptions of the virus published on Nature this week indicated that the genome sequence from patents were almost identical to the bat C0V VZC45 coronavirus. It was critical to study where the pathogen came from and how it passed on to humans. An article published on The Lancet reported that 27 of 41 infected patients were found to have contact with the Hunan seafood market in Wuhan. We noted two laboratories conducting research on bat coronavirus in Wuhan, one of which was only 280 meters from the seafood market. We briefly examined the histories of the laboratories and proposed that the coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory. Our proposal provided an alternative origin of the coronavirus in addition to natural recombination and intermediate host. And an especially ominous conclusion. In summary, somebody was entangled with the evolution of 2019 NCOV coronavirus. In addition to origins of natural recombination and intermediate hosts, the killer coronavirus probably originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. So, conspiracy theorists. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy how conspiracy theorists seem to get it right a lot more than the people calling us conspiracy theorists? Anyway, thought I would share this with you. I hope every one of you have a great day. And kill the state, live free.